What's up everyone, Speedy here. In this 1v1 video, we're going to be doing 2 live games as well as 1 replay review. So let's go right into it. Here we are in game number 1. And so the goal for this game, and really for the video in general, is to try to minimize the amount I'm jumping. So if I don't have to jump, avoid it. So here, take the play up the wall. Didn't have to jump there. You see, by jumping, made myself more awkward. Now, just kind of put myself in their spot. Miss those pads. Fortunately, I get demoed. Ball's going to be on the left side here. Nice. Got the first goal of the game. Well done. They're just trying to avoid flipping if I don't have to. There, it's kind of like the idea there is to almost like pre-jump and pre-flip a little bit into it. See, he's trying to push it a little bit to the side here. Good control from the opponent. Good response play. I overcommitted there, honestly. I'm kind of annoyed because I wanted to bring it up the wall. I just didn't get the pop I wanted at all, so it's mechanical error there. Just single jump here. Get the bump on the opponent. Grab this pad lane. And get a free goal. You see, by staying grounded here and just waiting for the opponent to make their play. So I make my play, and then instead of like jumping at it, I just wait. I let the opponent make their play, and I let them overcommit. Not what I wanted. Poor play on my part. Fortunately, that's off. That's okay. Can't overcommit. Don't flip here. Really bad though. Could have done this a bit differently. So this challenge here, just kind of like, instead of fake challenging here, just kind of like, if you fake challenge, then try to press the play a little bit more. Need to stop that kind of wave dash play. It's not ever going to work. Nice. Pretty decent little two-touch there. Not bad. We'll take it. Kind of awkward on takeoff, but that'll work. If I got that pad earlier, it would have been fine, but all good. It's a turn back. That is a good read. Let's go, dude. Nicely done. That is such an unfortunate place to get bumped. Did I have to go for that other fight? No. I went for it because I just wanted to try something. Left, right. Quite close. Or just play stupid. Wow, good job, Speedy. Well done, dude. Had a slight moment I could have challenged there. Okay. And that's how I lose. Bro. Wow. Okay. GG. Here we are in game number 2. So, trying to continue off the theme of building on, not jumping as much. Good control here. It's a good start. Just don't overcommit. Of course. Let me get a piece of that. I mean, honestly, I'm not really sure what to do there differently. It's just a really, really hard angle to be in at that point. But all good. We're just bang ball forward. Nice. Good, good ground control there. Honestly, that's a great example of not flipping too much. Because just getting myself control, getting comfortable with the position, and recognizing the space is a lot better than trying to flip early and not taking time, especially when there is time. You see how by like that, I rushed it and missed? No bump. Really unfortunate. Pretty off axis, so I know the ball is fairly safe. Easy to control. And free goal. And you see, because it's off axis, even if the opponent can put it in a threatening position, it limits the amount of positions that the opponent can go, so I don't have to go. I don't have to jump. That's an awareness thing. Of course, bro. Overflip there. Only reason I get scored on there is I hesitated. The reason is because I was too late to recognize the separation. When you recognize their separation from the play, let's say okay, okay. I believe when people do that in Troll, just bring it back. I mean, guys, it's free. They give you a free goal like that. Just don't go. Simple as that. That is a beautiful kickoff. That is beautiful. Wow. What an angle. Ah, dude, if I didn't hit it into him, and then if I didn't commit here, he gets a good job, like it does a good job of forcing that. I mean, dude, if you're gonna keep faking like in the most like brain dead way, I'm just gonna see that and not give it to you. Like, that's twice in a row you got yourself scored on because of that. Can't commit to that. I mean, that's just class, man. You get bumped, doesn't matter. Just keep your recovery going. GG. Okay, so here we are in the replay portion of the video. And kind of like tying into the theme of jumping too much, you're going to actually see sometimes later in this game that actually do jump a little bit too much. And so we're going to kind of cover a little bit of that, some other general concepts and things for me to work on. First, what you're going to see here is a mechanical error. So here, I kind of go for this play here. If you want to improve the position, recognize like the way it's bouncing, because the mistake isn't necessarily while jumping off the wall, it's actually in the setup here. The setup phase is really critical because what happens is like during the setup phase, I'm pushing the ball in this direction towards their corner, but I'm not going the opposite direction. So what you want to do is if you're pushing the ball like in this direction, if you want to get a like actual scoop that's not going to just continue to push it this way, but it's going to be in more neutral airspace, you want to go a little bit, so say it's going leftward, you want to kind of hit it from a little bit of the left side of the ball, and that'll kind of essentially kill that forward momentum a bit. And by doing that, it's going to make it easier for you to get the ball into a space here. That's actually going to work. So instead of the ball kind of coming up here and going up this trajectory, you see how much less open this trajectory is to set up an angle? If you set up a little bit on this side of the ball as you're coming up here, this angle comes up here. This is a lot more in line, and this is more of a correct angle. I understand the reason why I went for the play I did, and that's not a decisional error. I think that's a totally fine decision for me to make, but it is a mechanical error in the sense of like not setting up properly the position. I could have set it up better, and that would have been higher percentage. You're doing okay. Jumping the right amount, kind of not over jumping here. I'm gonna watch that back. So even though I just played this game, I remember some moments so I could have improved. Yeah, I'm just a little too far to the side. It's gonna be really hard to get like a really good horizontal, like a vertical takeoff from that. And because I ended up overcommitting to the play, give myself a goal. So let's kind of go back over that because I have a free position. what I want to do is just with the setup. Again, the mistakes are typically here so far. It's more on the setup phase than it is the actual mechanic. The reason is a bad setup makes it much harder to execute a good quality ground or wall to air triple in this case. Because look at the free space I have. I have free space here. Instead of pushing it middle here and more of a central line, that I actually have more of an open access to set up like a good angle here, grab this boost, and now I have open space. Because the opponent's here boost, they have to leave. But by pushing it right, by pushing it away from myself, it makes it harder. It goes, essentially what I'm doing is I'm putting myself off axis to the direction of the ball. What you want to do is put the ball in the same or as close to the same axis as yourself. So if your intent is to get this mid boost, try to be within this white circle. So you see this white circle, you don't have to be exactly dead center. You can be within this range. And the closer to this range you are from here to here, it's a little bit easier for you to work with because the ball will be within this space here that you have a range that you can now pop the ball and now go for that air dribble. Or even you can go for a reset or backboard play, like a double tap. The problem is by going this off axis, look how far off axis, there's no angle here. There's no angle here. So even though I do a good job of trying to recover the play, it's difficult. And it makes it much more harder rather, to actually perform a high power play and a high percentage play. And this isn't really necessarily a decisional mistake. This is a mechanical mistake, a mechanical error. So in this case here, this is kind of a combination of a decision-making mistake, because by pushing it right here and then flipping left on the left side, I'm kind of scraping the ball across this way. What you want to do is just do a better job of deciding your position and your angle, and then kind of think a little bit more ahead. Think about like the setup. You want a good setup. Be very deliberate about a good setup. A good setup goes a long way for getting you setting up into an easy or much higher percentage play, especially coming into wall plays where it's typically lower percentage compared to ground play. You want to try to put yourself in a better position, because a better position means you're typically going to have a better result or a better outcome, just in general. The worse your positioning is, the harder it is for you to recover and the harder it is for you to work with. As you can see here, look how off axis this is. That is the decision-making component of it. And then the mechanical error is what follows right afterwards. So this is kind of a combination of both, I would say. There is I would say technically it is a mechanical error to hit the ball away, but it is also a decision-making error in itself. So again, it's not necessarily because of the outcome, but it's the actual moment itself that's what matters the most. The outcome is usually if you follow like operant conditioning, like a reward or punishment. A reward would be, oh, you're scoring a goal, and the punishment is getting scored on. This play was interesting. It's a good challenge, because not just, again, the outcome. If you remove operant conditioning and don't think about the reward or punishment, in this case I get rewarded with a goal. If you just look at it from the standpoint of like the setup and the position, here I like the idea of grabbing that boost. The opponent was pretty aggro here. Kind of had a feeling early game, just from what I gathered so far, this opponent was going to be fairly aggressive. I flipped into this because I wanted to make sure I had myself a good 50, and I didn't let the opponent have free space. Because what happens, like I'm going to slow it down a little bit here. So at this point here, if I just like fake challenged, so instead of like coming here, yes, I could have gone here, could have cut, but it's a really low percentage cut, because like if you try to cut here, you're cutting into the space that the opponent's occupying, which is why it's not a good decision to go that way. So that's why I decided to shadow for a moment left and then place for the 50 here, because by placing the 50, what you're doing is you see where the angle of the 50 is going to be going. It's in this general direction. Of course, I put myself more to the right here, because the more to the right you are, the more you narrow this position. So say this is the far right of that arc, so it's like this. What you're doing by going to the right side, because you're going to be like right here, you're going to narrow this more that way, or you're moving it more this way. And the goal is in this little zone here. So what are you doing? You're now bringing this closer and closer and closer, and now you have the perfect angle for you to get a shot on. So that's why this was a good play. It's not just because of the outcome, it's a decision for me to actually go for this play. I like this decision. This was a good decision. Even worst case scenario, it just becomes a neutral 50, and then even if I don't get demoed, like even getting demoed there, I still have time. You know, even if the opponent gets possession play afterwards, they don't have a clean possession right away. They have to recover the ball, and that time is time for me to respawn, get boost, and get back into the play. Good job committing to the position here. Don't mind that. Yeah, that's okay. Honestly, like, yes, it didn't result in anything specific. It's a good save. I like the patience here. So in the theory of like following the idea of not jumping too much, you see how by staying grounded here, just waiting until it's the last possible moment, so I knew it was going to be a good position for me. Because if I jump too early, the opponent could definitely sail it over me or put it in a place that's a lot more awkward. By putting it here, yes, it's a scary position, but it's still a saveable position. So here, just stay grounded. You don't have to jump here. Again, this is why you want to stay grounded. By staying grounded, what you do is you minimize the mental load that you're putting on yourself. By staying grounded, you're not jumping around, you're not doing all this extra stuff, and you're going to see that issue pop up later this game. So stay tuned. You're going to see it, and you're going to understand a little bit about why, when I started rushing myself and started making the adjustment in pacing, that certain mistakes started to well up a bit, and that was more with the jumping too much. You're going to see why that's important. But here, by staying grounded, it's keeping it simple. By keeping it simple, what you're doing is allowing yourself to be in a good position, and you're also trying to bait or kite the opponent into this position. You're trying to force the opponent to challenge. Look at where I'm putting the ball. It's into his corner. There's no realistic chance that I'm going to score from that alone. But it's because that I'm trying to force the opponent to challenge that now I'm putting the opponent into a bad spot. Here, boom. I'm staying grounded. I didn't flip at all. Stayed on the ground. And now I get a free open goal. That is well done. That is a very good example of why you want to stay grounded there. Because what you're doing is you're simplifying your game and you're making it easier for yourself to position yourself in a way that actually is high percentage. You don't have to jump at every play for it to work. This was a really funny one. I got bumped a lot. I honestly am kind of a little sad I didn't get contact there, but I'm happy that I got a task failed successfully because it worked out. It was definitely one of the funnier goals I've had. I remember like, kind of chuckling because like the way this goes in is the opponent was like bumping the crap out of me. Like he bumps me again. I get this boost. And I wanted to like, what I should have done here is if I wanted to like get it directly in the goal, just a tiny bit like after the air roll, just a tiny little adjustment, just bringing the ball like that. Just a tiny little forward adjustment to like downward rotate. And I would have gotten a little bit more contact there. It works out, of course. Like I touched the ball and didn't really get much out of it, but still goes in because the opponent commits, assuming the danger of the play. Still works out. I like this. That setup is a bit of a mistake because I push away from the ball and I put the ball out of line here. So the way you want to do this is kind of setting up here. This is a perfect setup. Like this is a great setup. It's in a position where I'm in line with it. Even if it's not perfectly like in front of me, it's in a position where this is, when you're this far away from the net, typically this is a really good angle for you. Because what you're doing is you're creating an angle, you can scoop it, and you get a really good amount of horizontal movement. And that's what you want in this type of play. You want this kind of like combination of horizontal and vertical type of movement here. So this is fine. Plus I'm in line with the movement. You see I'm not really like moving or separating. I'm pretty much parallel to it. That's what you want. Takeoff was okay here. But not takeoff, but the position here. What I do is show right here. I jump early. So you see how by jumping early, instead of like say this is the wall and the ball's here, what happens is when I jump here, instead of being like on this left side to push it out, I'm kind of more in the center here. And by being in the center here, that's what pushes the ball this way, and I'm starting to move that way. That's what creates these two different axes of movement. The ball's going on one axis, I'm going the other. That is not what you want to do. You want to be a bit more aware about the takeoff here. The takeoff, the setup was perfect. This is actually kind of the opposite example, where the other plays were better from the recovering into it was better. The takeoffs were bad. This is the opposite. The takeoff was pretty rough, but the setup was good. And this is like a setup that I like. This is one I practice. So again, could have done this better. And the way you do this better is just by not jumping so early. Because of that, it made it awkward. And I effectively reduced the amount of angles for me to work with. Went for a reset. It's all good. I don't mind that. Brings the ball back. Good idea to check the camera here. I don't mind not having to boost there, that's fine. See how I'm just waiting, letting the opponent go? Put yourself in a good spot. Opponent challenges again, very aggressive opponent. I could have gone there. There was a realistic opportunity for me to go there. It was just mentally a bit awkward because the opponent then challenges here. This is not good because the following play is really what causes this to not be good. Is then just get scored on immediately after. So let's watch it back. So right here, this is the kind of moment that I would say is about 15 seconds before, or 10 seconds before the score essentially, or the goal happened. And the reason why this is bad is because, like, as I go here, I hesitate. If I just simply got a control touch, and going into that control touch, like as the ball's bouncing off the wall. So watch. So here's the play, right? Right here. Use your camera, and just for a brief moment, look left. Just like look left. If you don't even see your opponent there, then that tells you your opponent is behind the play, and you have plenty of time. So you can just get a control touch here, and you can just shoot it. Like this is a shootable angle here. Like this actually, I could have just easily gotten a goal right here. This was a goal right here. Very much, if you can smell the goal there and you know it's there, go for it. Absolutely. But be careful about hesitating there. Hesitation usually comes from reactants to a play, or reactions to a play. Whereas if you're being a bit more predictive and just aware of what your opponents are and what your opponents want and what they're trying to achieve in a play, you could give yourself the mental space to not be like unsure of a play, because at that point you already know whether the play is a good play or not. And that's just something that comes from experience and also proper mental decision making that comes with time. But you also want to think the right way when you play the game. You want to be aware of your opponent and want to be aware of what your opponent wants. This is a good job here. It's not a bad job here. Like here, not a good job. You don't want to be jumping here because it gives possession away. Opponent now makes a play here. If I want to be going for this play, you want to go a little bit differently. An idea would be like right here. So as this play happens, he makes this touch, and you just want to bang this ball. So like right here, you just want to go, grab possession, and go. You have boost. Like in this case, I have boost. Like even the opponent has boost. Doesn't matter because it's in my corner. But by getting this like weird touch and it's awkward, I hit it into him, and of course he's going to S-child because he's there. He has the angle, and I'm now in a kind of awkward position, and he's just going to go there. So that's what leads to that goal. Didn't necessarily have to rush that play. That's a poor touch. It puts the touch into a playable angle for the opponent. Here, opponent's like, he does a good job of positioning, but honestly, the mistake really like that leads up to this play is right. It's like right here. It's the flip into this and kind of rushing. There are a lot of different ways you can handle this. One way I recommend, so like here, you get the bump here, right? You can have a couple options. You can get a slight single jump and control touch. So like right here, control touch into the boost here, and you could go for a wall to air play. It's just one option if you're comfortable. If you're not comfortable with this, what you can do is just a control touch here. So a single jump control touch, or just simply like like hitting it with the side of the ball or side of the car and just control touching. Grab that pad, and even if the opponent is on the way back, you could just backflip flick it over them. And now the opponent challenges, boom, they're out of the way, and now you have a free ball to work with. So that's an example. It's another example of a play you can kind of get around that. Because of this, the opponent gets a good bang and makes this awkward. I make this more dangerous by getting a side flip away from the ball. And so you'll see here as I side flip in the opposite direction. So I side flip, but I'm side flipping away. So you see how like all that separation from the axis here? I put it in a direction that the opponent is able to challenge it, and that's what makes this play dangerous. I do a good job pre-jumping here. In fairness, it's a good pre-jump, but I didn't have to make this so hard for myself. I really didn't. There's absolutely no need for that added level of difficulty for this play. Fortunately, that's a little bit over. That's okay. If I was a little bit higher up on that bump would have connected. It's a good job bumping there just to force them off. Still good. Opponent does the abjack save. If I went for the bump instead of trying to go for the boost there, the boost wasn't really there yet anyways. I remember it not having spawned in yet. I think it spawns in afterwards. Yeah, it spawns in right as I die, unfortunately. But in this case, this is good patience here, just kind of drive challenging. Grab this boost, and now I'm in a position that's easy for me to kind of work with. I like that zap dash, that's good. Also, just checking for the opponent. This is a mistake. The reason this is a mistake is like this play leading up to this is good. But I'm hitting it into the space that the opponent's occupying or going to occupy. So when it comes to ones, you want to be more precise about the awareness of where you're placing the ball, because typically the spacing of plays is that you don't have a teammate to cover you. You don't have other teammates to cover you. You only have yourself. And when you make these plays, what you want to do is you want to recognize that when you're hitting a ball like this, you're hitting the ball into a position that the opponent is going to be occupying that space. So like right here, this is a challengeable play, and this is why the opponent makes this play and he gets the beat here, because I wasn't expecting him to chow here. What you want to do is, yes, I knew the opponent was in this area, but I didn't recognize which way they were cutting. What you want to do is just really be aware of the way they're coming into a play. And hitting the ball down into the space is really dangerous for that reason. It's not just the outcome of the play that's dangerous, it's the decision to go for this play. That's a decision-making error to cut down this way, because I'm essentially not allowing myself to maintain safe space. I could easily, like, instead of this play, so I get this play, right? It's a good zap dash. Right here. I don't have to hit it. I can just do nothing. I can just do nothing, wait for the opponent to come up, and then take time. Take time and just give myself the mental space to see what the opponent wants to do, and then place for a 50 if it seems dangerous. And then I can make myself like a defensive 50 that at worst would be neutral. It's safer, and it's not going to get me like we scored on. And it's a safer interaction. Fortunately, again, this is a case where we're kind of just jumping a little too much. Get bumped a good bit here. That's okay. This is where I start jumping, as you're going to see here, a little bit too much. Didn't have to go for that. Not high percentage at all. I don't mind trying to go for it. It's just it's not high percentage, so it's just not necessary. It's a good bump right here. Relieves the pressure. If I shot this a bit more to the right, that was a goal. The opponent was going for the corner boost there, and if I just shot this a bit more to the right. So like what I mean by that is like here, get the bump right. Is okay. But right here, instead of being a little bit more center, kind of come up on this line here. So I'm going to slow it down a little bit. Instead of coming up from this axis here, look how, like, this isn't really a shootable position, right? From this angle. But if you come up here, this ball's rolling, bang. Perfect shot to the net. It's all about the awareness to recognize if the position is going to be suitable for what you're trying to do. Yes, I was rushed here mentally, so I was trying to make the play fast because I knew they were spawning and I needed to make it quick. But even if it's a fast play, you want to try to place the ball in a way that is higher percentage. And this is just, again, it's just an awareness thing. This is more of a mistake of awareness. It's an okay challenge. It's neutral. Still okay. Aggressive 50. Jumping a little bit, that's okay. I like the awareness. Didn't have to go here. I understand the reason though. It's a bit awkward here. This whole play just becomes further awkward. Opponent should have scored that. That was an open net. That was also an open net. I could have made a shot here, or just taken time and placed myself better. It's a bit awkward again. Play started rush. We both started like upping the tempo of the play. I like that bump. Yeah, this is also another one where like the double miss is pretty funny. Still fine. I mean, I understand the reasoning. It's just these are things you want to be aware of. Is if you're adjusting the tempo of the play like that, just be careful about mistakes. Mistakes are common. Opponent, I feel like the opponent maybe was going for a bump here. It was hard to tell. Yeah, they were going for a bump there, and they just weren't expecting me to get contact the way I did. I was aware, because typically opponents are really aggressive in my corners. It's really common in ones that people just love to go, especially when they think there's an angle there. And in this case, of course, I get a free goal. And of course, I'm going to take the free goal. Because, of course, why not? It's a fine 50. Didn't have to jump there. Honestly, you just could have stayed grounded. Same thing here. Like if I cut this a little bit wider, it wouldn't have gone so far to the right. If I cut this wider, honestly, it would have like shot this like more this way and would have maintained the ball into a space that's safer for me to work with. And it's just higher percentage. Again, you're up 2 goals. So in a position like this, what you want to do, so let me pause it at the perfect point for here. So from this position, you don't have to be here. You want to be a little bit more here. Bang that ball forward like this. Because what's going to happen is, again, you're up 2 goals. You recognize you have space. You have 10 seconds left on the clock. You want to put it on their side of the field. Prioritize putting it on their side of the field. Even if it doesn't score, you're trying to waste time on the clock. The way you try to win this in the most highest percentage way is you try to keep the ball on their half. This is how you do that. So instead of cutting it this way and bouncing it like that, and then missing the, of course, follow-up touch here, and just kind of cutting across here, you first recognize you want to put it this way. Again, I rushed myself a little bit. That is a mistake, but you just want to try to get a better touch here and then win the game though. These are just little adjustments, but there's a lot of these little adjustments that do matter, especially when it comes to playing ones. Follow these kinds of understandings and these ways of improving if you want to continue improving your game as well. Replay reviews are incredibly effective, especially at really accelerating your learning curve. If you'd like me to do some replay review of your games, feel free to let me know in the comment section down below. That being said, if you enjoyed watching this video, I'd like to ask you to hit that like button, comment, and subscribe. Thank you so much for watching. Speedy Man out.